Welcome students to the second part of the chapter Madam Rides the Bus. So in my first part I have already discussed about the planning of Wally to ride the bus and then how she is boarding the bus. We had done so. So in this part, the last which we ended was students that she was unable to see outside the window and she stood up on the seat to have a look outside the window. I told you the paragraph was very important in which it was described about the bus. In this paragraph students, again it is very important because the author or Wally is describing about the various sights she is saying on either side of the window. Let me read it out, okay. The bus was now going along the bank of a canal. The road was very narrow. On one side there was a canal and beyond it palm trees, grassland, distant mountains and a blue sky. On the other side was a deep ditch and then acres and acres of green fields. Green, green, green as far as the eye could see. So you see students, on one side she could see the canal. The bus was going along the bank of the canal. The road was very narrow. And then beyond the canal, what did she see? She saw palm trees, she saw grassland and distant mountains. Okay, so let's count it. So the bus was going along the bank of the canal. The road was narrow. Beyond the canal, she saw again three things. So what were the three things? Four things in fact. Okay, what were the four things? Palm trees, grasslands, distant mountains and blue sky. Okay, you can number it down so that you can remember it. On the other side was deep ditch. Okay, ditch in the sense we can call khai in Hindi we say, and then acres and acres of green fields, and it was so beautiful, green and green wherever as far as her eye could see. Then we have next, oh, it was also wonderful. Suddenly she was startled by a voice. Listen child, said the voice, you shouldn't stand like that, sit down. Sitting down, she looked to see who had spoken. It was an elderly man who had honestly been concerned for her, but she was annoyed by his attention. So she was enjoying the view, then suddenly she was interrupted by an elderly man who wanted her to sit down because she may fall. So this elderly man just told that sit down, you may fall. So Wally sat and then looked at who has spoken. There is nobody here whose child. Now she is getting annoyed. She is telling to the elderly man, there is no one child here. She said haughtily. So this shows her haughtiness nature now. I have paid my 30 paise like everyone else. The conductor chimed in. Oh sir, but this is a very grown up madam. Do you think a mere girl could pay her own fare and travel to the city all alone? So the conductor quickly comes in and tells to that elderly person who had corrected or who had checked Wally that you don't know, she is a grown up girl. She is a grown up person. A young child, a young girl will never be able to pay 30 paise and take the journey all alone. Then Wally again got angry. Wally shot an angry glance at the conductor and said, I am not a madam. Please remember that. And you have not yet given me my ticket. I will remember. The conductor said, mimicking her tone. So she's getting annoyed and she's telling, don't call me madam. And after all, you have not given me the ticket also. The conductor is also trying to speak in her tone and trying to tell, yes, I'll remember that I have not given you the ticket. Everyone laughed and gradually Wally too joined in the laughter. So everyone, all the 5-6 passengers who were over there, they all started laughing and Wally also started laughing. Okay. So the conductor punched the ticket and handed it to her. Just sit back and make yourself comfortable. Why should you stand when you have paid for a seat? Because I want to, she said, standing up again. So the conductor, gave her a ticket, punched and gave her a ticket, and then the conductor said, why do you want to stand when you have paid for a seat? Wally, I really feel she's a lovely kid, Well, Wally says, because I want to stand, and she stood up again. Then we have next para tells us, that is, but If you stand on the seat, you may fall and hurt yourself when the bus makes a sharp turn or hits a bump. That's why we want you to sit down, child. I am not a child, I tell you, she said irritably. I am 8 years old. Of course. How stupid of me. 8 years, my. The bus stopped. Some new passengers got on and the conductor got busy for a time. Afraid of losing her seat, Vali finally sat down. An elderly woman came and sat beside her. So the conductor is trying to make her understand. He is telling that if you stand on the seat, if the bus applies sudden brakes, or if the bus takes a sharp turn, or if the bus hits the bump, she may fall. It was for her. She was basically concerned for her safety only. Then he again refers to her as child. But Vali again says that I am not a child and I am 8 years old. Then conductor says, oh my, yes, 8 years old. And then the bus comes to a halt and then a station, another stop. And then what we find is that is the passengers are getting up and getting down, and conductor gets busy with his work, and Vali, for the sake of losing her seat as the passengers was coming into the bus, sits on her seat. And then who comes and sits beside her? A fat elderly lady comes and sits beside her. Okay, let's see now. Again, one very important, interesting thing. Okay, are you all alone, dear? She asked Vali as the bus started again. Vali found the woman absolutely repulsive. Such big holes she had in her earlobes, and such ugly earrings in them, and she could smell the betel nut the woman was chewing, and see the betel juice that was threatening to spill over her lips at any moment. Oh, who could be sociable with such a person? Vali did not like this lady. She had big ears and she has big holes in her earlobes. She was wearing very ugly earrings. The lady asked her, where are you going? Are you going alone? And then to add on to the things, she was chewing betel nut. Her mouth was full of juice and it was threatening to come out. So Vali was very scared that the shower should not spill on her. And then she said, who could be so sociable, or who could ever become friendly with such an ugly, repulsive woman? Okay, and she did not like being asked the question. So, yes, I am traveling alone, she answered curtly. And I have got a ticket too. Yes, she is on her way to town, said the conductor, with 30 paise ticket. Oh, why don't you mind your own business, said Vali. But she laughed at the same, and the conductor laughed too. But the old woman went on with her dribble. Is it proper for such a young person to travel alone? Do you know exactly where you are going in town? What's the street? What's the house number? You need not bother about me. I can take care of myself, Vali said, turning her face towards the window and staring out. So again the conductor comes in and says that, she's a grown-up girl and has got a ticket and she is going to on her way, she's on the town. And then Vali tells the conductor, why can't you mind your own business? And then she is smiling, but the lady is not stopping. The lady is asking her a volley of questions, like the questions are like, do you know the address? Do you know the person where are you going? Do you know the street? Because everyone is surprised, an 8-year-old traveling all by herself, all alone. But Vali answers that yes, I can take care of myself and I know where I have to go, what I have to do. And then she turns the face towards the window and starts staring out. So this is the end part of part 2, students. Now let's start with part 3. Her first journey, what careful, painstaking, elaborate plans she had to make for it. She had thriftily saved whatever stray coins came her way. This paragraph is very important, students. This is a part of an NCERT question. How did she plan her journey? Okay, or the question could be, how did she save money? So you'll have to explain all these things. Okay, what did she do? Number 1, she had thriftily saved whatever stray coins. So she saved stray coin. Number 1 point. came her way, resisting every temptation to buy peppermint toys and balloons. Number 2, she resisted her temptations, her desires to buy what? She's a child, okay, to buy peppermints, toys, balloons, okay, and like this and the like. Finally, she had saved a total of 60 paise. How difficult it had been, particularly that day at the village fair. So, she had also saved money by sacrificing her desire, her longingness to go for a merry-go-round, okay. So, how difficult it had been, particularly that day at the village fair, but she had resolutely stifled a strong desire to ride the merry-go-round, even though she had the money. She had the money. She could have easily gone and enjoyed this joy round, merry-go-round in a village fair, but she did not go for it, so that she could save 60 paise. So, the next paragraph says, after she had enough money saved, her next problem was how to slip out of the house without her mother's knowledge. But she managed this without too much difficulty. Every day after lunch, her mother would nap from about 1 to 4 or so. Wali always used these hours for excursions, as she stood looking from the doorway of her house, or sometimes even ventured out into the village. Today, these same hours could be used for her first excursion outside the village. So, students, how did she save her money? By collecting the stray coins, by resisting her desire to buy peppermints, toys, balloons. She even did not enjoy the joyride, that is merry-go-round in the village fair. So, the village fair, sorry. So, that is how she collected 60 paise. Okay. Now, money is there. Now, she wants what she wants. She wants that what is the right time. So, I have already discussed in my first part that 1 o'clock time was selected, 1 to 4. It is already given in this paragraph. It's very evident and very clear in this paragraph, because 1 to 4 was the time when the mother used to sleep, and this was the time, these hours were the time, particularly 3 hours. This was the time, she used to go out even into the village, short excursions, and also out of the house, and enjoy watching activities outside the home, standing on the doorway. So, this was the best time. She thought she will go and come back, and her mother will not come to know. The bus rolled on, now cutting across a bare landscape, now rushing through a tiny hamlet or past an odd wayside shop. Sometimes the bus seemed on the point of gobbling up another vehicle that was coming towards them, or a pedestrian crossing the road. But lo, somehow it passed on smoothly, leaving all obstacles safely behind. Trees came running towards them, but then stopped as the bus reached them, and simply stood there helpless for a moment by the side of the road before rushing away in the other direction. So, you see, the journey is as usual. Most of you must have travelled by bus or car or any mode of transportation, and normal thing, the bus was going along the road. They were tiny hamlet. Tiny hamlet means settlement of few houses, small village of 10 or 15 houses only. Then there were wayside shops. Then she saw that the trees were appearing to come towards her, and then she could see the trees were moving back, okay. And then at times the speed of the bus was such that it seemed as if it's going to gobble up the vehicle which were coming from the other side, some pedestrian. So, normal journey of the bus was continuing. She was enjoying the ride. Then suddenly, Wali clapped her hands with glee. She was very happy, and she started clapping hands. A young cow, tail high in the air, was running very fast, right in the middle of the road, right in front of the bus. The bus slowed to a crawl, and the driver sounded his horn loudly again and again. But more he honked, the more frightened the animal became, and the faster it galloped, always right in front of the bus. So, after some time, they found there was a cow, who was running frantically in front of the bus with the tail high up in the air. And this whole scene was such a hilarious or funny that Wali started laughing, and she was laughing her heart out. And the more the driver honked the horn or blew the horn, the more the animal got confused and more the animal galloped, and all these things made Wali laugh a lot. Okay. Somehow this was very funny to Wali. She laughed and laughed until there was tears in her eyes. Hey, lady, haven't you laughed enough? Called the conductor. Better save some for tomorrow. At last the cow moved off the road and soon the bus came to a railroad crossing. A speck of a train could be seen in the distance, growing bigger and bigger as it drew near. Then it rushed past the crossing gate with a tremendous roar and rattle, shaking the bus. Then the bus went on and passed the train station. From there, it traversed a busy, well laid out shopping street and turning, entered a wider thoroughfare, such a big, bright looking shops, what glittering displays of clothes and other merchandise. Such big crowds, struck dumb with wonder, Wali gaped at everything. So after some time, the cow moved out and then bus moved on and then they came to a railway crossing. The barrier was down because the train was about to come. The train, which looked like a speck at a distance, became a big and crossed the railway crossing with a big noise. And after the train crossed, the railway barrier was lifted and it was clear for the bus to move and the bus entered into the town. When they entered into the town, students, Wali had never been to the town before. So everything was a surprise for her, And then she saw the streets which were full of people. She saw the shops beautifully designed with so many things and articles and merchandise of all colors, shapes, design, all on display. And then she had never seen all these things, so she was looking at all these things dumbstruck. Okay, she was surprised as well as mesmerized and enjoying. Definitely she was enjoying. So she gaped at everything. Then we have the next paragraph we have. Thus the bus stopped and everyone got off except Wali. Hey lady, said the conductor, aren't you ready to get off? This is as far as your 30 paise takes you. No, Wali said, I am going back on the same bus. She took another 30 paise from her pocket and handed the coin to the conductor. Why? Is something the matter? No, nothing's the matter. I just felt like having a bus ride, that's all. Don't you want to have a look at the sights now that you are here all by myself? Oh, I would be much too afraid. Greatly amused by the girl's way of speaking, the conductor said, but you weren't afraid to come in the bus. Nothing to be afraid of about that, she answered. So the bus stopped at the bus station and then all the passengers got down. The conductor told Wali that, don't you want to get down? This is the last stop. We are not going any further and this is the journey we will bring you for 30 paise. Then the Wali said, no, I have to go back home in the same bus. And then she is showing conductor 30 paise. Then the conductor says, why don't you go down and just take a stroll and come back? Then she says, no, I am scared to go down or go by all myself. Okay. Then the conductor is mocking and telling her that you are not scared coming all by yourself to the town, traveling alone by bus. But now you are scared to go alone to the town. Then she says that no, I wanted to take a bus ride, so I came by bus. Okay. Then she is telling, no, it's nothing to be scared of, but still I don't want to go down. Okay. Let's see. Well then, why don't you go to that stall over there and have something to drink? Nothing to be afraid of about that either. Oh no, I couldn't do that. Well, then let me bring you a cold drink. No, I don't have enough money. Just give me a ticket and that's all. It will be my treat and not cost you anything. No, she said firmly. Please, no. The conductor shrugged and they waited until it was time for bus to begin the return journey. Again, there weren't many passengers. So conductor said, okay, why don't you go and have a drink? She says, no, I don't have money. I have only 30 paise and 30 paise is for the return journey. Then the conductor says, okay, don't you worry. It will be a treat from myself, my side. I'll get you a cold drink. Then she very strongly, in a very strong determination in a voice, she says, no, I will not take the cold drink from you. I don't want any favors. So, this shows her boldness as well as confidence, that she is a she has got full of self respect. She doesn't want to take favors from anyone. Finally, the conductor said okay, and the bus was ready to take the journey back to the village, and it was afternoon time. Many passengers were not there. Okay, there were no passengers for the return. There weren't any passengers. Okay, so that is how we come to the end of your part 3, students. So I hope you have understood up till now. So we come down to the 4th part of the chapter, okay, and this is the last part of the chapter. Very interesting, students. Okay, won't your mother be looking for you? The conductor asked when he gave the girl her ticket. No one will be looking for me, she said. So while returning back, again the conductor is giving her the ticket, and conductor is asking Wali that, don't you think your mommy will be looking for you? And she is telling, no, my mommy will not be looking for me. Okay, the bus started, and again there were some wonderful sights. Wali wasn't bored in the slightest, and greeted everything with the same excitement she had felt the first time. But suddenly she saw a young cow lying dead by the roadside, just where it had been struck by some fast moving vehicle. Isn't that the same cow that ran in front of the bus on our trip to town? She asked the conductor. The conductor nodded, and she was overcome with sadness. What had been a lovable, beautiful creature just a little while ago had now suddenly lost its charm and its life, and looked so horrible, so frightening as it lay there, legs spread-angled, a fixed stare in its lifeless eyes, blood all over. Very sad and disappointing, She was enjoying, full of happiness. Same, the way she had enjoyed her journey to the town, with same enthusiasm, spirit, she was enjoying the journey back. Suddenly, she saw the young cow smeared in blood, okay, legs up, spread-angled up, eyes lifeless. It was too much. And then she asked the conductor, is this the same cow? The conductor says, yes. That could be that some speeding vehicle has hit the cow, and the cow has died. It was too much for this young child, students. And just see, she has come in terms with reality of death. Just few moments back, she was laughing her heart out, looking at the way the cow was running, and now her heart is crying at the death of the cow. Okay, so this is what is being told over here. A little sorrowful touch, sadness has come into this part. That is part 4. So let's see what the next paragraph has in store for us. The bus moved on. The memory of the dead cow haunted her, dampening her enthusiasm. She no longer wanted to look out the window. She sat thus glued to her seat until the bus reached her village. At 3:40, she stood up and stretched herself. Then she turned to the conductor and said, well, sir, I hope to see you again. Okay, madam, he answered her, smiling. Whenever you feel like a bus ride, come and join us. And don't forget to bring your fare. She laughed and jumped down from the bus. Then away she went, running straight for. After seeing the dead cow, students, she no longer enjoyed the scenes outside. She just sat on the seat, and it is told the word is called glued. She got stuck to the seat, and she never got up again. Okay, and then this unpleasant scene was haunting her. It dampened her enthusiasm, and finally the bus reached the village. So she got down the village. She thanked the conductor, and then she told that, thank you, conductor. And then the conductor is telling, it's okay, madam, and whenever you want to go for a bus ride, please do come, but do remember to bring your fare. And then Wali laughed and then jumped off the bus and came to her. She went running straight for home. Okay. Then in the next paragraph, we have, when she entered her house, she found her mother awake and talking to one of Wali's aunt, the one from South Street. Mother was supposed to wake up at 4 o'clock. The bus reached the village at 3:40. The bus was late. According to her calculation, the bus was supposed to reach the village by 2:45. Okay, 1 o'clock the bus will start from village. 1:45 the bus will reach town. 15 minutes stay at town. So bus will start from town at 2 o'clock and then again will reach the village at 2:45. So but the bus reached the village at 3:40. So was late by nearly 55 minutes. Okay. And mother, who was supposed to get up at 4, was up early because of the aunt who used to live in the South Street, has come to visit them, and they were talking, aunt and mother were talking. This aunt was a real chatterbox, never closing her mouth once she started talking. And where have you been? Said her aunt when Wali came in. She spoke very casually, not expecting a reply. So Wali just smiled and her mother and aunt went on with their conversation. So the moment Wali entered into the house, the aunt is asking Wali, where have you been? Where had you been? And she asked casually, not expecting a reply. So Wali also was not interested in giving a reply, and Wali thought it's better that I don't give a reply, and she moved on. Okay. And then Wali's mother and aunt carried on with their conversations. Yes, you are right, her mother said. So many things in our midst and in the world outside. How can we possibly know about everything? And even when we do know about something, we often can't understand it completely. Can we? Oh yes, breathed Wali. What? Asked her mother. What that you say? Oh, said Wali. I was just agreeing with what you said about things happening without our knowledge. Just a chit of a girl she is, said her aunt. And yet, look how she pokes her nose into our conversation, just as though she were a grown lady. So as the mother and the auntie, they were discussing, there are so many things happening around us, we are not able to understand. Okay, and even if we come to know about the things, then also we will not be able to understand. Then we have, Wali chipping in, and Wali says, yes, yes. Then mother is telling, what is she answering? Then mother is asking, what do you want to say? What is that? Then she says, I'm just agreeing to what you said, that there are so many things happening and we don't understand anything. Okay, because what was Wali telling? The thing is, she is referring to the episode of her journey of bus, that she has gone out of the house, she had gone to the town by bus, and her mother has not come to know about it. Okay, she is referring to that point. Very clever girl, isn't it? Then this aunt says, see what a kind of girl she is. Just try to poke in her nose in the conversation of the grown up people. All aunties, all these grown up people, they do the same thing. They don't like children disturbing their talks. Okay. So then we have the last part. We have this a very nice. This last part is there. Okay. Let me read this sentence again. Just a chit of a girl she is, said her aunt, and yet look how she pokes her nose into our conversation, just as though she were a grown lady. Wali smiled to herself. So this is, what do we say, that mockery and even, a very naughtiness, full of naughtiness is there. She didn't want them to understand her smile. She never wanted that her aunt or mother should understand the smile, because the smile had got lots and lots of things hidden behind it. Okay, but then there wasn't much chance of that was there. So the author ends the chapter in this question mark form, that is it possible, or is it any way that the mother will ever come to know that her daughter has gone to the town all by herself, traveling by bus, and come back also. Okay, so on this note, the chapter is ending, students. There are lots and lots of questions, that is oral comprehension checks are there. The questions which are given in your oral comprehension check, and on page number 122, then we have 129, then we have 120, I think 127 we have, 129 we have. Okay, so what I have done is, students, all those questions, the short questions, the NCERT, the questions which are given in the book, Okay. For example, like what was Vali's favorite pastime? What was a source of unending joy for Vali? These are your oral comprehension checks. Then what did Vali find out about the bus journey? How did she find out these details? Then we have, what do you think Vali was planning to do? Very simple. She was planning to go for a bus journey. Then we have, why does Vali stand up on the seat? What does she see now? You need to explain about the views which she saw. Then what does Vali tell the elderly man when he calls her the child? This is pertaining to part 2. Okay, part 1 and 2. Then we have the question which is oral comprehension check on being advised by why didn't Vali want to make friends with the elderly woman? Again, part 2 only. Then we have, how did Vali save up money for her first journey? Was it easy? This is based on part 3, the first paragraph of part 3. What did Vali see on her way that made her laugh? That cow episode. Then why didn't she get off the bus at the bus station? Okay, again this is pertaining to part 3 because she never had enough. 2 points will come, that she was little scared to go down to venture into the town, and second is she never had enough money. She had only 60 paise, isn't it? Then why didn't Vali want to go to the stall to have a drink? Again same reason, and she never had enough money. What does this tell? That she thought that she was a responsible and careful child who was aware that she has to go back also, and money she is not having enough. Then what was Vali's deepest desire? To travel by bus. Then find out the words from the story. So students, plenty of words and phrases are there. Like if you go to the first part, it's the most of the are there in the first part, like fascinating thing, source of unending joy, then deepest desire, wistful wish, then overwhelming desire. Many words are there. Okay. Then 14. Next question. How did Vali plan her bus ride? So how she collected the information? Then what was the information? Then how did she collect the money? And how did she decide upon the time? This question could be, you can make it questions, this question will be a little lengthy question, students, and you can make it for 8 marks. Okay, 100 words, basically describe it in details. Then what kind of person is Vali? So in this question there are few fill in the blanks which you can pick up the words from the chapter and fill in the blanks. And then we have the first one is commandingly, simple. I have done all this homework for you all, so you can just click on the link and see. And then we have, why does the conductor refer to Vali as madam? Because she is behaving like a grown up and she has paid for her fare. And then find the lines in the text which tell you that Vali was enjoying her bus ride. Again, this is from the chapter. Oh, it was also wonderful. Suddenly Vali clapped her hands. She was not bored. And then she laughed. She saw the town shops and the sights in the town dumbstruck, gaping, wondering. Then why does Vali refuse to look out of the window on her way back? Because she has seen a dead cow which has dampened her spirits and enthusiasm. She was upset. And then she never wanted to say anything. She lost interest basically. Then what does Vali mean when she says, I was just agreeing with what you said about the things happening without her knowledge? She was referring to the fact that she has been out and her mother was not aware about that her 8-year-old girl had been out to the town. She has taken a bus ride. She was not aware about it. Okay. So the link will be shared. So go through all of them, students. I hope you enjoyed the explanation of the lesson, and it was an interesting chapter. All the best.